Welcome back to another info series with us, Talking Shop with Property Bank. I'm Edith. Today I'll share a lot with you, especially you are the owner out there. Stay tuned because we are going to show you how to property manage your space. So congratulations if you are a new owner with a sitting tenant. However, we know that tenants come and go. And what happens when the space is vacant? So I'm going to show you one of the properties that we have showcased before. Click the button which is on Mapex. You'll see that that property was occupied with a tenant and there's lots of furniture layout. But today you see that it's totally vacant. So one of the tips is that when a new tenant or a prospective tenant comes for viewing and the space is less cluttered, very empty, which only the partition room stays, gives that spaciousness to the viewer. And as the viewer walks through, and as we show the space, the tenant can visualize and imagine the space as their own. So let's start with the property management part. You will realize that the aircon is cool and good. That's important. Another of the tip is make sure your outgoing tenant doesn't turn off the power. That's very important because you just need to make an application as the new owner. Make sure your unit is with power turned on, and that facilitates the viewer. Imagine on a very hot day, anyone that comes to view, the very moment the stuffiness in the space will definitely put them off. And looking at here, you see that there's cracks to be plastered. Another checklist is to make sure all your walls and the floors are in tip-top condition. Definitely, handyman is important as your contact to make sure that it is fixed properly. Make sure your existing tenant doesn't remove any plugs because plugs are in fact in a very moved-in condition. So you as the owner wants to make sure that your space is with value add to anyone who wants to move in immediately and function, because we notice that these days many of the people comes in with very last minute requests. So for owners who want to make sure that you leverage and monetize, leave as little vacancy as possible, you get an immediately well furnished and also well maintained property. That's why today I'm sharing more tips about making your property well managed in the best condition to seek a tenant in the fastest time. So don't forget, if your unit comes with water, the pantry area, make sure the water is also not cut off. Making sure the cabinets itself, no rubbish is left behind. That's critical because some very fussy tenants will check every corner of the unit. And let's look at the fridge. To you, the fridge itself is just a fridge so long as it's cold. But I have seen so many fridge when I'm helping the landlords managing their property. You have food that's rotten, it won't give a good smell as they open the fridge. Okay, so I'm going to walk through with you. This happens to be a server room. You want to test and make sure every of this aircon is working. And before I forget, the aircon itself, make sure you get your existing tenant who's leaving the space to give you a last maintenance receipt so that you know that it is properly maintained throughout the tenancy period. Okay, let's take a look at the toilet. Very importantly, very often you may even forget to close it, and of course we don't want the mozzies to start breeding while the unit is vacant. If you have shower, make sure that the shower water also flows. So every corner of it, making sure that you check, and tick. And looking at here, sometimes the tenant may have forgotten to lock it, especially when we have very wet weather. You don't want water to seep in during wet weather condition, and nobody is occupying the space, and you get the seepage coming into the unit. The fire extinguisher, okay, make sure it's dated also before you hand over to the new tenant. So these are little tips, but however they are so important And look at it here, missing remote controls. For every of the aircon, you make sure that it can be turned on, you make sure that it's serviced, and don't forget to check the batteries of the remote control. So that's really a long laundry list to check. And let's look at over here, all the cabinets. Again, make sure that you check, there's nothing that's of valuable, content that's left by the previous tenant, in case they cannot find and they report to the police. So make sure these are all also cleared. This comes with blinds. I recommend all owners to have good lasting blinds because I think these are for long term that they can stay as part of the fittings with the unit. Yeah. So again, with the windows, make sure they are all closed properly. Yeah, I'm going to come to also the rooms itself. Doing property management also means that making sure that all the doors with the key, it can be actually latched properly so that you can close every single door. And one of the tips is when you hand over to a new tenant, you can run through the list as well as hooking the keys together with the doors. So it's easy, imagine on the day itself, you have like such a big bunch of keys and you start to just going through them. That will take time. So let's come to this room right now. Okay, this is a unique feature of this unit. It has a collapsible wall. Oftentimes, if they do not keep the handle, you'll realize that, then this wall is of no use. So make sure that you actually put it here so it's well kept. And you look at this bunch of keys here. Okay, so there's of course the remote control to the main door, and make sure that you check every single remote as well besides the key to make sure that they are working. And of course, for you as the tenant, before the tenant vacates the space, in fact, a good property manager will actually keep record of the inventory list during the handover. So that's actually proper documentation, and it's actually a long list from the sprinklers to the number of light bulbs to the number of rooms, the number of keys, fire extinguisher, the smoke detector. Wow, that's actually a long laundry list. And looking at this unit, which is not too big a size, guess how many pages are the inventory list? For a good property manager, it comes out to 3 pages. So every single detail is being captured so that this will remain for the next tenant. And yes, I think you as an owner, you often say that, okay, now that I've checked through all and making sure that my property is well managed to the tip-top condition, what's next? And as an investor, you want to maximize your rental returns. Of course, the faster that you can market it, it will be definitely to your advantage. So you can either do it yourself, market it yourself, or you can engage an agent to see through this process. Well, you as an investor, further you as a business owner, you are managing your own business. And if you are C-suite, you will be busy traveling. So what you want is a peace of mind to make sure that your property is well kept. You don't get so much calls from your tenants saying that some of the things that are not working, and you want to have that luxury to go traveling with your family. With that, we've come to an end of this video. And if you are a new investor, congratulations. If you do need help, you know where to reach us. And if you find this series useful, to give us a thumbs up and subscribe to our channel for more commercial property contents. I'm Edith Tay, your property banker. We hold a bank of properties, and you can bank on us for properties.